All right, we're up and running, everybody. Instagram's firing on all cylinders. Excellent. I think we're up on Substack. Should be good. Yeah, Substack's rolling. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. It's Hal Sparks, Megaworldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, etc., etc., etc. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks, and of course you can buy me a cup of coffee with a Venmo or what have you. I'm very lucky. We have increasingly had the occasional guest because of the shuffle in my schedule on the afternoon show, and this one's particularly special because Doc Adam is back with us. How are you, good sir? We were having a nice
good, my friend.
We were having a nice Van Halen conversation before the show started. Because he had just found out I'm in Nerd Halen, and hopefully we'll get to your neck of the woods, and you can I can invite you to a show.
Oh,
and
hell yeah,
it's impressive. So I don't know why you're even bothering to post anymore because Doc Ronnie was at the football gaggle today, and can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, Doc Ronnie was at the Navy team gaggle that Trump had today, and according to Trump, he continues to say he is the healthiest president in the history of presidents. And he's like, I like this guy. That was you know how he does that one all the time. He told me I was the healthiest president. I like this guy. So
you're saying Ronnie Jackson caught on the mic and said this?
No. He was standing over there. Trump is obviously, referencing something that happened, months or years ago on Fox. But Trump, again, every problem he has is old news. Every congratulations or moment of appreciation happened just 10 seconds ago, right? Every bit of applause it's all stacks into a moment that chases him around. But everything that anybody ever said bad about him is old news. Stupid. I don't even know what you're talking about. Are we still fighting in Iran and talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Mm-hmm.
So your thoughts on this? I know you've been tracking his appearance window, which has been shortening, and his he's kind of on a loop lately, which when he talks, you know what I mean? It's like somebody spliced together a tape.
That's right. Yeah, he's gonna. His speech and vocabulary are going to continue to get more and more narrow, because he doesn't want to show weakness. That's the number one thing he wants to.
Too late, right?
Yeah. So yeah, what he says or does not say is going to become more and more narrow, and he's. Policy-wise, he's painting himself into a corner. Of course, if you can believe this, he's actually pissing off MAGA voters because he's bombing Iran. But yeah, it's going to become more and more narrow. It's similar to what you talk about with Reagan when he gave that speech at the RNC, when he's like, all right, okay, don't get me off subject.
Yep.
We're going to see more of that.
He had, so one of the things that everybody's been sort of clamoring about is they now have him seemingly on a routine, and almost like a toddler. He has, state visit or cabinet meeting, a video where he signed something in the morning, which they AI'd together a couple of days ago. It was one of these moments. I don't know if you've seen this one, but from the White House, they did this like video of him talking about, he signed something, and I'll see if I can bring it up again.
Please do.
But he was just, like prattling like I haven't seen him speak in a long time. He didn't quite sound like, Trump from, 5 years ago, but he was reading like competently from the teleprompter in a way that was coming out of his mouth, where he reads each word. And if there's a word that's off the screen, there is he was doing that whole thing. But he had this It, I mean, it looked like it was put together, and he was on his A game. And then I
Mm.
played it for everybody, and it's this thing right here. I'll
Today
bring
I'm
it up.
signing two
Hold on. This, let me show you this real quick, because I want to. There's a couple of things in the very beginning of it that are kind of crucial to this. So not only does he look as fresher than you've seen him, but there's something really peculiar, and it might be hard on the bigger screen to see what he does. But
historic executive orders continuing my administration's efforts to help more of our citizens achieve the dream of home ownership. It's called the American Dream. Thanks to our purchase of $200 billion in mortgage bonds, mortgage rates recently reached the lowest level in 5 years. This dramatically reduces monthly payments for new
so he's plowing through this, right, in a way that he normally doesn't do. Okay,
home buyers.
and I'm sure some of the edits are good, but there are a couple that stick out.
The annual cost of the typical new mortgage is down almost $5,000 since I took office. I'm very proud of that. I also signed an executive order to stop Wall Street and large institutional investment firms from buying up all the single-family homes in the scheme to turn them into rentals and make lots of money in doing it. We want America to be a nation of owners, not renters. Today, I'm taking action to help reduce rates even more and make it much easier to build new homes in America. The first executive order is about bringing more community banks back into the mortgage business. 2 decades ago, over 5,000 community.
Okay, there was one. That was one of the shifts right there. What you'll see is the background.
Decades ago, over 5,000 community banks were offering mortgages. Today, that number has been slashed by more than 50%, largely because of burdensome, unnecessary regulations that radical liberals impose on community lenders for the benefit of their donors.
Yeah, did you see that? You see that? The word lenders?
I did. That's
Okay.
right.
Okay, so they are AIing this together. This is AI. They have created a Trump avatar. He does a slapdash shitty version. He blazes through it and doesn't, makes all the mistakes he wants, and it's good. And then they fix it. But watch his mouth.
Radical liberals impose on community lenders for the
lenders, like right. So I was like, when I started watching him, I'm like, Jesus Christ, he's blazing through this thing. Like, this is not how Trump normally talks, and he's reading very clearly, and he's hammering these points home. And then I was like, oh, it is fake. It is. This is definitely AI. And if and it's either a live thing where they stitch together several takes, and they like just basically took his head and just had him sit there for a minute, and while they're pretending to just sit here for a second, and he was like tapping his hand on the table and whatever while they're doing this, and then they put his face, they put the face on afterwards, and then they just have it. Now, guaranteed they're going to be doing more of these, because if you go to one of the other gatherings, he's back to like, well, reading is fun and dumb and mental, and that I don't think people like that registered as much.
Radical liberals impose on community lenders for the benefit of their donors on
community
That's
lenders.
fake, brother.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be as telling if it looked like they were just fixing the word over top of it, but they clearly are fixing all of it, all the video. At one point, the pen that's on the table rolls over on its own, as if a poltergeist has.
Yes, there's always those telltale signs,
right?
Like tech, like the video that went viral about him smacking that girl on the backside in the Oval Office. That's AI.
Yeah,
and one of the clearest reasons is the flags have text on them that's complete gibberish.
Right.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
those telltale signs in these videos still. But he's going to have access to the best AI money can buy.
That's right. Absolutely. I mean, this when you hear we did our show Friday AI this morning, and Rob and I were talking a bunch about this tech, as I love to do. The version that most people see is not the advanced version that the owners of these companies have. And he is throwing billions of dollars at the owners of these companies. And so the Anthropic that Anthropic is saying don't use it to bomb schools that they have access to can do all of this shit
Yes.
better than at a Hollywood level already. I mean, that's how that's how they sold it to the Pentagon. So more
Yes.
and more, you're going to see. I think we're not that far from them doing a video like that with other people in it, and those people have to keep their mouth shut. And then if you have just so happens to be that there are like 5 people in the video with them that weren't really there, or on hush hush, and one of them's a Joe Kent, and he takes a powder. Then what?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Have you seen definitive proof that Benjamin Netanyahu is alive?
Yes. I mean, in theory, like he took questions from the press yesterday.
Did he really?
Yeah. And he goes, you can see I'm alive or whatever. And that kind of thing. Now, I got to say, that could be fake. I mean, you could maybe the reporters that were there, nobody knows the actual reporters, right? There could be reporters like I wasn't at that, but he gave he took questions.
Yeah.
So that's always been like a squirrely one. The idea that they would have got him, or I mean, the idea is that he keeled over on his own, but nobody's taking credit for assassinating him. So
yeah, good point.
that's weird. And so this sort of the same thing with Putin. You can't really he's got several doubles. We know this. He's had him for a long. There's an argument that that's who Trump met in Alaska was one of Putin's doubles.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and that he's got a bunch of these. He's got like 3 that they talk about all the time. The for different tiers, the talking one and the standing there and waving one. Like one of them can't sound like him right. One of them nails it, but they keep him almost as protected as Putin, because if something happens to him, the other guys are like durr. So he killed the wrong dummy. Yeah. Wow. So but again, if the word is, Putin's health's been shit for a long time. So the argument is he didn't go anywhere. But if nobody claims he's dead from outside the country, you're never going to get the real story from inside the country. I think with Israel, it's sort of different because it's not going to impact the interior focus of the country right now. Once this is, and this is the issue we have with Trump, once this started in Iran, it's not going to stop. Right? Yeah. Tulsi Gabbard, they know this, that you cannot, you have opened Pandora's box, you have opened a can of worms, and there is no, getting them back in. And that's what they're counting on. That's what Netanyahu was arguably counting on. But it's also what MBS and Sheikh Khalifa and all those folks were counting on. And that Tulsi Gabbard, I think the most telling thing is Tulsi Gabbard saying, that as long as the regime it exists, we believe they will try to reconstitute a nuclear weapon, which means regime change. Like they're not going to settle on somebody that's even aligned with this. That is the DNI saying what Trump allows her to say, because she's full of shit, but she's she's all over the place. She is clearly saying we're doing regime change, and we're not. And Trump said, I think with that football gaggle today, we're going to stay as long as it takes. Yeah, and then my favorite, and this
stay as long as it takes for what?
Yeah, well, exactly.
What do you think you're going to do over there?
Well, here's what I want to ask: is there's this weird thing that he does? He does a lot of weird things, but there's this one particular thing, and I think there's something to it, where he says, why would I tell you? And then he tells them. You know what I'm talking about? Where he's like, I don't have a plan, but if I did have a plan, I wouldn't tell you, but I don't have a plan. Which is like, okay.
Now here's my plan.
Yeah, right. The plan is no plan. I have but he does this all the time. We don't have to go in there. We're not going in there. But if I was going to go in there, I wouldn't tell you, but we're not going to go in there. So either that's the idiot's way of lying, or he's like, it's nonsense. Like he spills because it's his ego.
Yes. His mouth is the biggest problem for MAGA.
Right. Because
So,
yeah, the truth is ugly, right?
right. Does Andrea handle media for you, like the clip that you showed of Trump of that
Um,
announcement?
no, but I mean, like CSL does. He could probably find it. The clip, yes. He pulled it in there. Yeah. Do you want it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could send that to me, that'd be amazing.
Oh
Because
yes.
I didn't harvest that from any platform anywhere. That'd be great.
There are two key moments in it that really stand out. Some of the edits are the way they slap them together are okay,
Yeah.
but there's one where
Hmm.
there's a parallax moment where the background shifts behind him. It looked like if a camera was refocusing, but it
Ah,
but only on the background, which is not possible. But if in a
right.
3D generated image, it'll squash sometimes. And then the other one was
Uh-huh.
that clear, like, oh yeah, where his mouth just does whatever the hell.
Sure.
And then part of them like covering his hands, he does that anyways. And and
Hmm.
they may have, like I said, it's very possible they just said we're going to do this with AI. You just got to sit there for for about a minute and a half, and he's just tapping his hand on the thing, and they use a little bit of that and like edit it
That's
together,
right.
and that's how it works.
Hmm.
And get used to the idea that this is going to happen. This is going to happen more and more with this guy.
Yep.
Um, and now it's the spill online. So the other thing too is his enormous posts online about this. Like,
Yes. They are
it,
so long.
yeah, one of them was 2 pages. Like they
Yeah.
started to put like chapter 1 on some of these things.
That's right. Season 1.
That's right.
No, I ask about Netanyahu because they did release 2 AI videos
Yeah.
as proof of life before this press conference that we saw or that you saw.
Hmm.
I think they were doing that as a trial run to see if anybody could really tell
Uh huh.
that, like in the coffee shop, that when he turns to his right, his ear has no canal,
Right.
that kind of stuff. I feel like they were just testing the water because they know it's going to advance. There's going to be an updated, generative AI version soon.
Oh
They
yeah.
just wanted to see how far they can get with it.
There are a bunch of AI accounts I follow just for breaking AI news because I cover that because I'm
Yeah.
named after a computer, so it's kind of my cause celeb. And
Is that where your name comes from? Get
yeah,
out of here.
yeah, HAL is short for High Order Assembly Language, but which is what that breaks down. It's 3 letters off from IBM, right? But
Heyo.
right, but there are a few people. This Julie McCoy who does these, and this a guy named Julian Goldie. Both of them have avatars on their channel that do their show for them now because they got consulting jobs from what they were doing. So they now have an avatar that does the job. I'll see if I can. Yeah, I'll see if I can find the.
Yeah.
Let's see, because the one of them they both admit it, which is interesting. Like I'm the digital avatar of so and so. Yeah, Julian McCoy.
But they started doing socials to educate people.
Yeah, yeah. They started
Okay.
doing. Yeah, they started doing. Videos for like coding videos and the like. And I'll show you the channel.
Yeah.
This is Julie McCoy's channel, Julia McCoy, and all of her stuff is like she's hit 250 subscribers and she hasn't been a real person on the channel in half a year. She's probably been doing this since
Wow.
last year. But I'll show you. This is
What if you could have a team of AI developers all building your app at the same time while you just focus on the vision? That's not a fantasy anymore. Replit just dropped Agent 4 and I got early access. This is their 4th major iteration in under 2 years. And this one is specifically built
on, I'll
around
jump
here's what you
ahead.
type up it again to
Dude.
finally sit
Hold
them
on.
or they stop.
Not the Star
That's not
Trek
how real
top.
teams build
Let's
things.
go.
And Replit
Yeah.
finally fixed it. Feature 1
Let me show you this again. This is not a real person.
That's not how real
that's
teams
her
build
avatar?
things. And
Yes,
Replit
this is her avatar. She doesn't do her show.
finally fixed
Brother,
it.
her
Feature
hair
1,
looks too real.
It's nuts, right? And she made it put her in a Star Trek shirt. She didn't take
that,
design
here I am
canvas.
admiring the
With
shirt.
Agent 4,
Brother, we're
there's
cooked.
now an
We're cooked.
infinite
Yeah, dude.
canvas built directly into the same environment as your code You can sketch out UI ideas, generate variants, compare them side by side, and when something clicks, it goes straight into your production code.
I'll also tell you that this, the way she talks on this
Only works in the main version of your project.
is not any different from how her original videos looked. Like you couldn't go, oh, okay, I can see the moment it went. I think actually at one point, and I may be talking out of school because I don't track all these people. I'm not like fanboying over this account. This is one of a few that I see doing this stuff now. She did have a health update on one of her channels, so I think she got sick and couldn't do her channel and decided, hey, I do all this AI stuff. I should just lean into this avatar thing.
Oh my God.
And that's when she started doing her show.
Not inside threads. So make sure you're in the right place before you start designing. Feature 2.
I'm just telling you that and the weird thing is the things that are hard to fake in real human interaction. AI, where it would hang up AI or whatever. Trump is clunky and odd anyways. So there's so many.
He's easier to clone.
Right? Yeah. There aren't flashes of personality and that kind of stuff. There aren't variances. It's not a real weave. It's just this kind of staccato thing and even when he's talking in an Oval Office address, it's even more predictable.
Yeah.
This is the thing I'm doing. And I'm telling you, that video that I showed you is AI. It is absolutely
100%.
AI.
And one of the convincing things about her avatar is there's even stray hairs in her hair. That's why it looked convincing.
Oh yeah. I mean, they
Crazy.
they're playing off of his his thing, but I'm sure there'll be like weird fixes, like his makeup goes past his jawline, like weird stuff like that. But this is not hard to fake at all.
No.
Especially at that level. And she's using what effectively are prosumer tools. Like it probably costs you, one of the $100 a month plans on one of those sites to have a really good avatar.
Yep.
But this is
totally accessible.
Defense level? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and he's, the advantage is he's 80 years old. So his skin, he's got 80-year-old skin.
Yeah.
It's not hard to,
Yeah.
It doesn't have to look smooth or contoured or anything like that.
No. So there are several moments in this.
More than 50%.
We're so used to what he looks like because everybody jokes about him that this, tell me the difference between this video.
Largely because of burdensome, unnecessary regulations that radical liberals impose on community lenders for the benefit.
Like, I feel like they should hire Julian McCoy to tell them how to do it right. But that's AI.
Crazy.
That is an AI video.
Yep.
No question.
Wow.
And at this point, I don't know that I think I'm the only person pointing it out, but maybe it's just because of my fixation. But they are get used to it, kids.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to see some people go, we were going to do an event at the White House, and then they said it was canceled. And then you're going to see video of that event with the people that were standing on the stage and Trump talking, and he's not even there. Like, he didn't show. But they're going to swear everybody to secrecy for national security reasons.
I'm seeing people ask Grok on Twitter if a video is AI, and that AI agent will analyze video and say, there's a 95% chance it's AI or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering how people protect themselves. Because, again, this asshole is not requiring any regulation in this industry. It's insanity. You don't have to have a watermark for AI, generative AI video footage. Nothing. They can just do whatever the hell they want. Yeah.
Well, and on top of that, the companies, like I said, Grok's one of them. Grok is jockeying for a defense contract on a bunch of fronts to try and, muscle out Anthropic. And all of them want some form of giant government contract. So if they're going to tell their systems, if anybody's going to tell Grok or, their AI not to snitch, it's Elon Musk. And they can do it.
100%.
They can backdoor this horse shit. So
Yeah.
I gotta say, like, the trust but verify is a little difficult when the verification arm is has been broken.
It's too much, man. It's God. It can it can be used on such a deeply evil level when you're dealing with a post-truth society.
Right.
Like America. So far too many American, like I guess you could say a critical mass, because I did elect Trump twice, but I mean,
Hmm.
there's a critical mass of the electorate that they don't need the truth; they just need belief. So
Right.
if you can get them to believe that Joe Kent did a line of coke on the the Resolute desk when nobody was around,
Right.
now he's discredited. Now we can just go back to whatever Trump is saying about the Iran war, and disregard what the 11 tours in the Middle East, Army Ranger, Green Beret, ex-CIA director of counterterrorism is saying. There was no threat from Iran. I
Right.
resign.
Yeah. And again, this guy's a maggot who might have designs on a future in the party post Trump, and part of what he might be doing, part of the reason why he might feel comfortable saying this shit is because he knows Trump doesn't have that many days left.
Bro,
And
that's a great point. I did not consider that.
he's seeing it.
Yeah,
He's seeing intel both directions. He's seeing what he's getting from the intel community, and he's seeing what he's gathering intel when he walks into the Oval Office and listens to how this guy processes it, or if
Brother.
he shows up at all.
I did not think that's a brilliant idea. I'm going to make a video about that.
Excellent. Well, I watch for that, because more people are
Yeah.
feeling comfortable tapping the brakes or stepping away, and
Yes.
and the ones that are supporting him are because they're PNAC Republicans who wanted Iran to fall anyway, so they're happy enough that he's dumb enough to do it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, I know Kent was. It's so strange, man. Like Kent, besides his career in the military and in intelligence, his wife was KIA in Syria.
Yeah.
Suicide bomber took her out. Like all of that by itself, like the guy sounds like a model public servant. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he's also a commentator. Like he's
Yeah.
a MAGA he's an
Oh, yeah.
ideologue.
Absolutely.
Which is super weird. I'm just like, brother, you're telling, like, I don't know. It tells you how deep. And again, as a cult escapee, I can understand these things and I have language to describe them. But that's basically how that guy's functioning. He's naive though in the fact that he thinks that cults transfer power. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. He
Right.
sees himself as trying.
Jim
What's going to
Jones
happen
Jr.?
after Trump?
Right.
What's that?
Jim Jones Jr.?
Exactly.
Right.
By the way, his son survived Jonestown. He's alive.
Well, yeah, he knew what was up.
Right. But Joe thinks you can just exchange the leader. Like the leader of a cult is modular. You can just go find another one. That's not how that works.
Well, that's the problem they're finding in Iran too, is because there is a difference between this and the sort of modular leadership of Venezuela. Transactional leadership that Trump thinks he can understand that because that's exactly who he is. But he doesn't understand anybody who thinks their reward is on the other side of the wall and at all, right? He can't get it. He can't process it. Who doesn't want money? And
Good point.
Here's some shut the fuck up money. Just here we'll sneak you $1 billion. Just go out the back. And he doesn't understand it. It's it's why he doesn't understand why the Ukrainians keep fighting, and he certainly isn't going to understand why the Iranians keep fighting. And
that's a great point. He's kind of surprised that the Ukrainians just won't give in to Putin.
Yeah,
he wishes they would, but I never heard anybody say it quite that way. That's an interesting point.
He can't. He cannot process the idea that anybody wants anything more than material gain in the short term. It's one of the lucky points we have about him and Putin, because Putin is a fucking hedonist as well. Yeah. If this guy was, if Putin was, believed that his reward was in heaven, we'd have been fucked a long time ago. He just wants to be.
If somebody says to Trump, well, I want to fight for Ukraine because I love my family, he'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right. Yes. And Putin's the same way. Xi Jinping is arguably the same way. Joe Biden spends his entire presidency planting trees he will never sit under the shade of, because that's what it means to be a good person to him. And Trump is like, what an asshole. Who does that?
He couldn't tell you. Man, I remember it reminds me of when I forget what event this was. It was for religious right wingers,
Yeah.
but the guy on the moderator on stage is like, "Have you repented of your sins?" And
Oh
he
yeah.
goes, "I don't think I need to really repent of anything
Right.
necessarily."
Right. You're like,
That's the whole
yeah,
thing.
you do. It's like kind of the only thing that's expected of you. It's
You really should.
yeah. So the Bible is your favorite book, is it? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Crazy. What's your
which,
favorite scripture?
That's
Out of
right.
all of it.
All of it. It's great.
Or no, he said that's personal.
Right. Uh-huh. Yes. All my gaps in knowledge are just secret. It's too important to talk about.
It's too personal.
Okay. So and in terms of the Joe Kent thing, I feel like he's in some ways the male Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace is is allegedly a sexual trauma survivor, right?
Yes.
Who has
Yes.
these weird like flashes of normalcy, hyper normalcy. Like she introduced a bill to stop puppy mills, and then she has this panic that there's going to be a man in the bathroom when she goes in there, and so eek, right? And like just full on panic attack. She uses the speech and debate rules to basically openly charge her ex-husband and his friends with sexually assaulting her and filming it and doing all this stuff, and right and yet and she's been on the forefront of the pushing for the Epstein files, which is good.
Yes.
But she
Yes.
jumps more down Hillary's throat than Bill's, right, in that regard.
Yeah.
And
God.
has no interest in hearing from Melania, for example, who we now know, because Dan Goldman released that unredacted email yesterday, that Melania allegedly went to Epstein's with Trump. He's like, they asked him at one point, where the FBI talked to him and his lawyers, or him through his lawyers, and they said, have you ever been to Epstein's house? They don't distinguish which one, so it could be all of them. And he goes, I may have been there with my wife. And that's heretofore like unknown to the public anyways.
Yeah, that's new to me. I hadn't heard this.
Yeah. So
Wow.
the Dan Goldman email is one of the singular, like I would argue that the request for $200 billion from the Pentagon came to cover the fact that Dan Goldman was on the floor with this email showing it to people. I'll see if I can bring that up again.
Yeah.
But he had gone, and so apparently in this one, the email itself, and I showed this on there. It's a little like kind of blurry the way they have it because they blow up what was on the floor. But below the yellow line was a big black block.
Oh, yeah, okay. I've seen this image
Yeah.
before. I didn't know
Yeah.
about the content though.
Okay, so that's what this was. Everything below this line was redacted. So it was a big block out. And that was the interview part with Trump. Whereas his lawyers were speaking to him and I'm pretty sure what'll turn out is that he was on speakerphone and his lawyers were in the room. That's why, because some of it is firsthand and some of it is, it seems relayed, but this is the general thing. And it says, was Jeffrey Epstein ever expelled from Mar-a-Lago? No, he was not a member, may have been a guest, never asked to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other one, Mark Epstein said Trump was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane. Is that true? And then the answer is, I've been on a lot of planes, may have been on his plane, no young girls on the plane. So you don't even know if you were on the plane, but I know one thing for sure, there weren't any young girls on the plane.
How would you know that, sir?
Exactly. Well, and the other thing I point out is that from that Maximum Golf article that was written when Jeffrey Epstein flew on Trump's plane, he brought an underage girl with him, and they never get her name. The reporter never gets her name. He thought that was Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's niece. That's who he thought this girl was.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you know about the allegations against Jeffrey Epstein? Only what I read in the paper. Now remember thank goodness they're getting this guy because everybody knew about him. Right? This is, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And then any young girls there, Trump ever at Jeffrey Epstein's house. I may have been there with my wife, which is, again, brings the lie. Any young girls there? No. May have been children of guests, but that's it. So I guess Howard Nutlick brought his kids again.
Yeah.
And then they also interviewed this guy Bart Kemke or Lemke, the manager of Mar-a-Lago, and he said that Jeffrey Epstein was never asked to leave Mar-a-Lago. There was never an instance where he was ever asked down here.
There
That's
you
the
go.
last sentence. So everything Trump has been telling about this is a lie. And like,
Yes.
and again, I would track some of his mental collapse to trying to maintain this bullshit.
I think he's going to be deposed. They're this close to getting Pam Bondi. Bondi and Todd Blanche had a fake
Oh yeah.
hearing. Did you see this?
Yeah, they wanted in lieu of, which by the way is exactly what Trump did. That's the point. Trump called the cops and said, "I'll tell you guys whatever you want to know. I just don't want to do it under oath because this isn't really about me. It's about him. I don't really know that much, but I'll tell you what I know." And he wanted to be an interview statement, not a co-conspirator statement. And so he jumped in early. He did the same thing with the lawyers for the victims because none of his victims, were going through this. Like he knew either that his victims weren't part of the group or that they would never be seen again because they were sent back to the Eastern Bloc, and Putin took care of that for him.
That's right.
Right. So this is a we'll see it, but he definitely like tried to get a jump on this by going, "Oh no," like he called one of the attorneys for one of the victims and said, "Yeah, I'll tell you all about it. I'll tell you all about this stuff or whatever," because he knew that wasn't one of his victims and she didn't know anything about his stuff, so he could just say whatever to this particular victim. There is 1,000 victims, and they're saying he's been exonerated because they've interviewed 7. And by the way, 7. I would argue 7 come forward and they they've interviewed those people. The women who came forward are by and large women who are not afraid that Trump will kill them. So they don't, if you weren't trafficked to Trump, you're kind of safe. But none of if any of the ones that come forward, God knows what's going to happen to them. And that's what happened to the Katie Johnson suit is a pseudonym she went under. So it's like massively messed up. And
I think they're gonna Bondi and Blanche were pulling whatever stunt they could to keep Bondi from having to appear under oath again, specifically for the Epstein files. I forgot what was the reason for the first hearing. I've forgotten. Was it the DHS stuff, the ICE stuff, or what was it?
Pam Bondi and that hearing that she had with Patel and all those guys. I think
it's the one where she mentioned the Dows at $50,000. Yeah, I forgot.
Technically speaking, it's just her job. She's got a schedule. They all have to, it's oversight. They have to have an oversight hearing.
They have a periodic hearing?
Yeah, like like an annual or a semi-annual, depending on how the rules go. So they got to.
Unfortunate for them.
Right. Well, I mean, that's, look at how many times Christopher Wray came in. He was there, every year. So was Comey. They all came in, and it wasn't just because there was some sort of shock to the system. The government has to conduct oversight. The oversight has to be done in public. You have committee hearings out in the open. And with rare exception, you can say most of the stuff that they're talking about is in terms of funding in front of everybody. It just hasn't been about funding in 10 fucking years because of, Trump firing Comey and putting Wray in and then going, who the fuck hired this guy? Which is...
Who hired Jerome Powell? What an idiot.
Yeah, right. Yeah, who hired Chris Wray? This guy's a maniac, right? Who put this Joe Kent guy, right? Yeah.
How'd he get in here?
Right. Who let him in? Right. So, and again, are we talking about, Trump actually, because when you talk to him, the weird part is that there are occasional moments, and I think you've seen them, where Trump, you're like, okay, he's not making this decision. His brain's too far gone. He doesn't understand what the hell's going on. So they're basically presenting him something and going, this will make you look cool, boss. And he just signs off on it, right? And then there's some things that are so fucking stupid. You're like, oh, this was his idea. He's been fixated on this shit since 1984, and he can't see past it. And this is, I'll show you what he posted on Truth Sinkhole. right here. Morning Glory. Why Trump must finish what he started with Iran's regime. From Fox News. Like
Sure.
that's what he posted. This is why he's got to finish what he started with Iran's regime, which means regime shonge. Here it comes, right? This is we are the times they are a shonging.
That's right. That's how you
And
pronounce that word.
that's right. And so um, this is one of those things where I think part of this is PNAC wanted this all the way, and he does a lot of these things where like people have been trying to build this forever, and I finally did it. And part of
Yeah.
it seems to be them appealing to his ego to get him to do it. Hi,
Yeah.
hello.
Sorry, this is my daughter. She's can you grab mommy's computer, please? I'm sorry.
Hi.
I didn't know you
That's
had. Mr. Howell saying hello.
hi. Hello.
We're talking about the price of eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hi.
She's 10 years old.
Aw.
Okay, good.
Oh,
That's
nice.
enough. She
That's-
is so crazy with these stuffed animals.
Which one is that? I couldn't get a grip. It was behind the laptop.
That is a character from a game called Dandy's World on Roblox.
Oh yes.
All of the parents of that age, around that age child, know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, mine's 14, and he went through the whole Roblox part. He's kind of like arcing back into Minecraft and that and
Yeah.
VR, and then Helldivers rather. One of the things, and I wanted to show this too. This is one of those things where initially Trump would just throw around MAGA, make America great again. The fake press is the enemy of the people. Period.
Yeah.
Full stop. And like almost speaking in telegrams. And now there are two aspects of this. One is he's trying to solve the all problems to all people. Like in the MAGA world, half the MAGA hates him for this, and the other half is cheering him on. And he's got to placate or dose both and get him to go back to sleep, whatever the hell.
Mm-hmm.
And so that requires a lot of yammering. That's a lot of defensive and offensive talk, right? You can't just go "Make America great again. See you later," right? You gotta like
You throw him a bone.
spit polish this turd
Yeah.
and go see chow down. And the other thing is what I would say is the illusion of competency, because I've no doubt that he is he's dictating parts of these things. He's not typing this with his fucking thumbs.
He doesn't think in terms of like a 5-point plan. Give me a break.
No. And so they're shaping his blather into a post, and he goes, it's fine. And they just put it up. But the increasing length of these things makes him look thoughtful about it. Gives the illusion of, of meditation and consideration and being detail oriented and having a focus. Because this is like the fact that he would have to post the reasons for this war, like fucking today. At 2:00, we are getting very close to meeting our objectives as we consider winding down our great military efforts. Consider
That's a key
winding down.
phrase.
Yeah,
He's just putting that out there as a dog whistle to the people who don't want to be in Iran.
right.
But he's also leaving the door open for things to continue just as they are.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
He does it both ways.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's why he ran on getting us out of Afghanistan and left us in there the entire time he was there. And we now, listen to how he spoke after he left office when he was running again. He never intended to leave. We were going to keep Bagram, and we were going to park our ass in the desert forever.
Yeah.
It was one, completely degrading Iranian missile capability, launchers, and everything else pertaining to them, which is, I guess, a lot. 2, destroying Iran's defense industrial base, which Trump has never said. Like the idea that he would say the words Iran's defense industrial base is fucking stupid. Never came out of his lips, not ever. And he's certainly not writing it. 3, eliminating their Navy and Air Force, including anti-aircraft weaponry. Again, this is like...
He's never used the word weaponry in his life.
Exactly. And 4, never allowing Iran to get even close to nuclear capability. Now, even get close is how you would say that, but they do get even close, which is probably QAnon code for we're getting even. But yeah, right? Never allowing Iran to get even close to nuclear capability and always being in a position where the U.S. can quickly and powerfully react to such a situation should it take place. 5, protecting at the highest level our Middle Eastern allies, including Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Kuwait, and others. The Hormuz Strait will have to be guarded and policed as necessary by other nations who use it. The United States does not, which is just stupid because it affects.
What?
Yeah, that we don't. Apparently, we don't use the Strait of Hormuz, which is.
So
Yeah.
why the hell is the price going up so damn high, brother?
Well, because it affects the supply, and there is a thing called demand, and there's the world market, and we don't have nationalized oil like what I guess, which is why we invaded Venezuela, apparently. So yeah, and it go, if asked, we will help these countries in their Hormuz efforts, but it shouldn't be necessary once Iran's threat is eradicated. Eradicator. And it's an old Kids in the Hall sketch. Importantly, it will be
What
an
a deep
easy,
cut.
yeah, it will be an easy military operation for them. So like, just come on down here, but just police the strait. It'll be easy. You guys will have a go ahead. It's totally mine free. I swear to God. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald John Trump, whatever, because everything's a fucking complaint slip that he puts in a box near the front door of the office.
The timestamp on there is also, I think it's like 2 in the afternoon. So he's
Yeah.
not sundowning. So he's,
Right.
they're grabbing him while he's coherent and, congealing all of those ideas into a post.
It sounds like they're doing it over lunch. It sounds like during lunch, he just blathers yaps with his mouth full, and then they just write down what he wants to say, and then they plot them out. The other thing I've said for a long time, too, is that I don't necessarily, nicely done, CSL, he found the Eradicator GIF. Eradicator! So, for like those that, I don't know if anybody's ever seen that. Hold on, let's see if I can bring this up and I'll show it to you. In case you don't know, you must know. This would be, here you go. There you go. Eradicator!
Look at that.
He's a masked guy who plays everybody at squash. And he's working his way up the list of people who play squash at this club. And he's the Eradicator, knocks you off the list. And then he loses and thinks it's his battle scream that's weak. It's a running thing with Bruce McCullough bit. Anyway, so just if you don't know it, you should know it. Just like We Can Pickle That from Portlandia. There are just some bits you must know. So I think there's this illusion, besides the fact that he does wake up in the middle of the night and call people, that I think they post stuff not 24 hours a day to make it look like he never sleeps. And then rest in peace, Chuck Norris, who died today. Who gave me I took karate lessons from him when I was 9 years old.
Get out of here.
He knew my karate instructor in Kentucky, who was a minister at our church, and Bill Durbin, and his girlfriend, who was the assistant band director at my middle school, or the middle school that I would eventually go to. Her name was Peggy Derryberry, and when she married him, she decided to hyphenate her name and became Peggy Derryberry Durbin, which is way over quota with D's and B's. Like this, I mean, that's a lot. Are there any vowels in this, and where do they go? So anyway, he knew Chuck from the kickboxing circuit, and so Chuck would go around. If he wasn't fighting, he would do these kind of like signings and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He was in Lexington for a car show kind of thing where you can meet Chuck Norris, and this is well before most of his bigger movies were made. This is 1978, 79.
Wow.
Yeah, and he came to the school and hung out for came back 2 days in a row, and we all did. He gave us kicking exercises to do, and he stood on my leg, which is good. So it sat in a horse stance like this, and then he came over and stood up on my leg. I'm like, hey. I got a
Well,
solid horse
Peggy
dance.
Peggy Derryberry sounds like how Vince Neil sounds now when
That's
he's
right.
doing a concert for.
Right, yeah. He sounds a little bit like the chicken lady on Kids in the Hall. Just drop all
Oh man,
drop most consonants and all your conjunctions.
that's,
No, don't sing any ands. Don't sing any of this. Yeah.
that's right.
So, and again, talk about a hard fade, but again, that's chemically induced by and large.
Hmm.
So the question goes in the last 3 minutes that I have you, dear sir, and thank you for coming on. I'd love to have you on the morning show again as well. Is that
Sure.
they seem to be, if you notice, hold on, this besides all the ads and whatever. This is the ex-police chief told him Trump told him, thank goodness you're stopping Epstein in the 2000s. Somewhere in the mid 2000s. I love that we don't have a date. It's just
Sure.
that he called him and said, "Thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this." That's Trump's quote. And after that, that Dan Goldman thing, like clearly not. Like, no, this is
So ridiculous.
Yeah,
man.
this is the other part. This is in the mid 2000s as well. And they're right about the same time. I don't know what he was doing.
New Year's Eve 2009. That's when it happened.
Yeah, I only know what I read about in the paper. Yeah, I read about it in the paper. That's what I did.
Yeah.
I read about it in the paper.
The
That's
paper,
right.
see?
Yeah, right. That's the Lovett's liar character he stole from Michael Keaton. Yeah, Michael Keaton had a
Lovett
bit.
stole that from Michael Keaton?
Yeah, Michael Keaton had a stand-up bit about how he grew up watching gangster films, and then when his dad would catch him in a lie, he would see these guys in these gangster films go, I don't know anything about no murder. And they go, who said anybody was murdered, Charlie? I read about it in the paper. Yeah, I read about it. See, I read about it in the paper. That's where I heard it. That's what I did. And so he was about like how bad a liar he was as a kid because he learned from gangster
man.
movies, and that was the bit. And then he did it at evening at the Improv, like in '79 or some shit like that. And that's where Lovett's got the bad liar thing from. So
God.
now you know, and knowing is 1/3 of the battle now. It's because of inflation. I don't know if you know that. It's true. Yeah. So I have to say, like, what are the markers that we should look out for in the next round of Trump fades besides them AIing videos? Which again, I would love to see I would love to see your takedown of that video.
Yeah.
Comparing it
Totally.
and maybe find him giving a speech where he's reading. And pop it next to that. It is night and fucking day. It looks like something from 5 years ago. Or even 10.
So I actually believe, I'll have to go back and look. I believe the address he gave the nation regarding Charlie Kirk's assassination, I think that was AI as well. It was way too polished. He read it way too well. And I don't know, there's something about the hue, the color grading of that shot that just looked like, I don't know, this looks like something from Call of Duty,
right?
Like a cutscene where the president congratulates you for finishing the campaign missions. So I think we're going to see more AI because he's just not going to be available to do everything that is actually needed of him. I think we're going to see, like you saw with Dan Goldman's releasing the unredacted version of that particular document. You're going to see more and more of that happen. I think there is a mountain of, because of his confabulation from frontotemporal dementia, I think he's added more and more layers of lying that he isn't even aware that he's done.
Right.
Because that's the nature of confabulation. You fill in the holes in the memory with lies that you yourself 100% believe, which is why he sounds so confident. But he is making it up. Mark Thompson from the Mark Thompson Show, I've been on their podcast twice. He asked me that. He was like, sometimes he does look, he looks okay. And I'm like, well, first of all, there's more coming and going with behavioral variant frontotemporal dementia than there is with Alzheimer's. With Alzheimer's, you just see steady decline. You don't see a rallying at any point. the frontotemporal dementia comes and goes more often. It
Yeah.
just, you have these rough moments where, like when he did the phone call with Dan Bongino's podcast, and he literally pontificated for 3 solid minutes about Tina Peters, and every word he said was false.
Yeah,
It
right.
was all wrong.
Right.
So you're going to see more of that. More of that will be exposed regarding Epstein, because he's not even aware of how many layers of BS he's added onto just the cover up itself.
Yeah.
So it's only going to damage him more, as the Congress people can view unredacted files, which is so stupid that we're saying this, because they're supposed to be released. We're supposed to have everything right now.
Oh yeah.
So you're going to see that. You're going to see more paranoia. He's already taken shots at Israel because of their bombing of a natural gas production facility.
Yeah, and the oil and the oil refineries. Yeah.
Yeah. Somehow, I don't know. For me, that felt like a massive no-no. I was like, you can't do that to Israel, because they know what's in the files too.
Right.
So
right. They have a copy of originals. Right.
In triplicate.
Yeah.
So you're going to see more paranoia, more erratic behavior. He's going to become more and more unmanageable. Mm-hmm. You're going to see more Joe Kents. Joe Kent is just the first. Mm-hmm. You're going to see more resignation, or, gosh, they might even start to scuttle their own cabinet positions on purpose, just so they can say that they can have some measure of plausible deniability. Most of these people are counting on a pardon from him.
Yeah, so that's why they'll stick around. Or JD Vance. Like, JD Vance will only give them one if they stick that out, and that's the price.
JD, yeah. So, yeah, I think that's what we're going to see. You're going to notice more moistness in his speech.
Oh, yeah. He's been slobbering.
Yes,
he's been like the Irish when he was speaking at the Irish event in the middle of the day. Like, it was like he was gonna. You gobbed on my carpet, mate. I was waiting for him to actually just like that. There was so much saliva. It was gross.
Yes, and that's one weird thing about the video, the clip that you showed me of the AI video of him. It's accurately depicting how moist his consonants are nowadays. That's tough to do. That's tough to duplicate, but it is doing that. But you're going to see more of that. I don't believe they're ever going to have his speech hard copy on a podium anymore. I think he's only going to be on teleprompters, because when he has to tilt his head forward, he cannot clear saliva, because the swallowing mechanism is degrading. So you're going to see that.
But the problem is they have a bunch of fuck ups in the White House and who don't prep for this. And so they honest to God, he did the football gathering today with like a, written paper. He did.
Was it on the podium?
Yes, it was on the podium, and it was like, and he did a lot of like, the other thing I've noticed, he started slapping people more, like that. He did that really fucked up thing with Mike Johnson about the guy who was he'll be dead by June. Tell him to think about the dead guy, right? And he's slapping everybody. Dude, he did the same thing with Marco Rubio today. He was he's like, if I started telling you what the plan is, Marco would start doing it. And he reached over and whacked him in the shoulder a little bit. Like, he's doing that more and more as well.
He did the same thing when Marco handed him the note. I just got a note from Marco. He smacked Marco on the shoulder like, it's all right.
Yeah. I'm still here. I'm still present. You're with me, right? Get out there, huh? Tell him I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that contact thing, part of it as well? Because like he didn't used to do that.
He's socially he's trying to socially cue somebody to toe the line. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's actually a it's not jovial behavior. It's actually an aggression.
It's insistence, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's insistence. Just like the way he shakes hands. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have any social skills per se. Mm-hmm. The only thing he does socially is so he can figure out how to exert power over another person.
Right. And again, the way he shakes hands with everybody is, when he shakes hands with Putin, he turns his palm up like a dog rolling over to have its belly rubbed. You ever notice that? Like, he does this, and then he started doing at the thing with the football players, the Navy team today. He reached over with his left hand and kind of like grabbed the hand of the general that was there instead of reaching over and doing like this. He just kind of did this kind of like it was an ant grabbing a child's hand or something like that, and just kind of shook the top of it like super peculiar. Like, and again, in isolation, would any of these be a big deal? Nah.
Right.
But they
we know
stack.
We know that that's his disinhibition is going to increase. He's going to start. He'll do more behavior like that. That's, you're not supposed to do that. Like, invoking Pearl Harbor in front of the Prime Minister of Japan.
Right. Yeah. And saying, why didn't you tell me? Not like the United States or us. Why didn't you tell me about the Pearl Harbor? Right? Like that's was hard to grasp, because he almost could have pulled off the joke. Mm-hmm. Right? He could have pulled off the joke. Why didn't you tell us about Pearl Harbor, huh? It would have been crass and stupid, but it would have functioned as a joke. But he had to say me. Right? And
because I am America.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, guys. Yes, that's part of it. Yes, right.
Me. I am nothing exists beyond me.
The king and the land are one. There has been a curse upon the land since the king has died, and only someone pulling the sword from the stone of MAGA will, which goes apparently right through Tucker Carlson's spine these days. Thank you so much for coming on, Adam. I look forward to talking to you again. Have a great night, and I greatly appreciate you. Do you have a regular schedule for you post videos, or is it daily? Or you do like
post daily,
3 o'clock every day, or?
It's in the morning. Mm-hmm. There's one morning a week where I'm forced to be at a work meeting first thing in the morning. So usually I don't have morning videos. I usually get them done in the car, like in between patients.
Sure.
But the rest of the time I'm posting in the morning. The weekends, a lot of times I'll wait till the evening because I just want to sleep. But there are daily posts, and honestly, I've been posting, something else in the evening as well, just because there's so much happening and so many other, the core of my content is commenting on the president's health, but once he's gone, I've still got plenty to say about, being ex-MAGA and how I escaped all that and all that stuff,
Of course. Yeah. And I think there's going to be a cleansing that goes on. I had a guest on this morning, one of the Navy SEALs, the one that shot Osama bin Laden in the face. I had him on this morning. Yeah, Robert. And, he's definitely a Republican, or at least he's an independent. He's registered independent, definitely right-leaning in that regard. Probably on national security and law and order grounds, by and large. That's his, that's his prioritization. But a totally, a great conversation and totally a reachable human being. And even he is recognizing this kind of split amongst MAGA, that at some point, if you insist on a civil war is happening in the country, you can't jumpstart it in other people, but you can bring it to your side pretty easily. And MAGA is in a civil war right now, man. They really are.
They are.
This whole like Ben Shapiro versus Candace Owens and Erica Kirk thing, and
as soon as Charlie Kirk got shot, the cults will fracture into splinter groups as soon as their leader is out of power or off the scene. But it actually began before Trump has left power, because Candace Owens was resolute. Even after a face-to-face meeting with Erica Kirk, she has not taken her foot off the gas.
Yeah, I think that was more shocking. If anything, she went deeper into it. Yeah. Like after this peaceful meeting, right, where they sat for 4 hours like sisters and all that kind of shit with lawyers present. And now it's just like all bets are off, and it couldn't happen to a nicer group of people.
Oh man,
right? So I think next time you come on it, that might be what we break down is start going into how that wedge is happening and what kind of power structure that that rupture creates. The jockeying for position, because the best analogy I have right now is the Skeksis when when Chamberlain, when they're all gathered around the bed and they all grab for the scepter when the old Skeksis are trying in Dark Crystal.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
What a reference.
and then they're like trial by stone, right? And they all have to swing the sword at the thing like Muppets. And
I gotta tell my wife that you referenced this as one of her favorite movies.
I love it. I love the original
Yeah.
Dark Crystal. It's amazing. But and then the idea that the parity between the Mystics and the Skeksis, they're actually a separated species, and until they come back together, there can't be peace. So when the old one dies, one of the Mystics dies. And you don't really, when you're a kid watching it, you don't make the connection that, because they're the same being, right?
Yes.
But that whole like that dude is one of the creepiest. He and the child sniffer from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang are like the two scariest creatures from my childhood. And
Are you a fan of The Labyrinth?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean,
that's my wife's favorite movie.
Yeah, I mean it's beautiful, and it's more sorrowful than scary.
Yes.
And anything with genius. But those two particular characters, like both of them, the child sniffer from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Chamberlain from the Skeksis and the Dark Crystal, could both get a job in this administration. And probably, I mean, if you were trying to make a human look like one of them, it would be Stephen Miller. I mean, he basically, I wouldn't be surprised if he sits there going, make peace?
What?
Make peace?
Well, there's an opening at the counterterrorism department. So.
That's right. Yeah, that's I think like here comes the. Who are you? Here to be director of counterterrorism.
Perfect.
Right? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, chat! You gotta cut that. That's it.
Stop your whimpering. Right.
Clip that and post it and tag Hal. It's gonna be incredible. You got it.
I creeped myself out doing that. It was rough. All right. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'll see you next time.
Cool,
awesome.
Man. See you later.
Thank you. All right. There he goes, ladies and gentlemen. Doc Adam, good man. And I look forward to us having the kind of, as MAGA collapses under its weight, especially getting closer to the election, I do feel like we're going to see a lot more of this. It mattering, this separation between them is going to have more, real world consequences. Right now, it's an online dick swinging competition, but at some point, it's going to cross the line into you cost us this election, boom. And you could argue that some of those are already happening now. Okay, so there are a couple of videos I want to get to tonight while I still have some time. And one of them, let's see, besides the fact that, and by the way, this is the Charlie Kirk message that Doc Adam was referencing. And in retrospect,
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot
horror.
who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America.
See, I feel like this one might be real for that time.
He fought for liberty,
But they might have edited it together using AI at that point because it was the avatars weren't as far along. Now I think they could feel 100% safe doing
democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth.
He's a martyr. What's a martyr you?
Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his...
Again, this is also, I think, there's one word on the screen at a time.
his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain.
And if God's busy, Charlie, who's right next to him, can do that, and maybe they can work in shifts.
This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with.
All right, we covered this at the time, but I would argue that there is a big difference between this and this, with the obvious
Today, I'm
edit.
signing 2 historic executive orders continuing my administration's efforts to help more of our citizens achieve the dream of home ownership. It's called the American Dream. Thanks to our purchase of $200 billion in mortgage bonds, mortgage rates recently reached the lowest level in 5 years. This dramatically reduced.
Right. So we saw this, and then he goes, whatever the word was.
5,000 community banks were offering mortgages. Today, that number has been slashed by more than 50%, largely because of burdensome, unnecessary regulations that radical liberals imposed on community lenders for the benefit of
Lenders. Yeah. So you guys have seen that. By the way, hit the like, share the show. It's Al Sparks, Mega Worldwide. Let me. The other thing was this AI video of Netanyahu. The idea that that they've covered this. That this is not unique to our world leader. It's also happening everywhere else. Weird Netanyahu videos and theories that he's dead from giant Joe Rogan vagina.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
What do you think about these Netanyahu AI videos?
What do you think?
I haven't seen them.
You haven't seen them?
No.
Oh,
Dude, you gotta see these. Or was I bullshitted?
they think he might be dead.
What?
Yeah. There's a
What? What is this? What?
bunch of AI videos that Israel has released that are like clearly AI.
What?
Show him the one where
The coffee shop.
there's in the cafe. This one's nuts. Like this one, I would assume that some kid made.
Yeah.
Just fucking around on his computer.
All right.
Like I saw it, I was like, there's no way they're really trying to pass this off as an actual video of Netanyahu at a cafe in
Yeah.
the middle of the war. Like everything
Sorry, does Joe Rogan have an emotional support dog that has its own chair now?
is calm and peaceful.
I couldn't tell. Is it that one?
He does. He does. There's like a spaniel of some sort, a cocker spaniel, Brittany spaniel, something.
Yeah, this one.
Well, that's
Well,
all
that's
set
just a
up.
clip. Show the
Well,
actual.
I can't. I didn't.
BB.
It's on the Israel website or the Israel Twitter page.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, they released it.
I didn't know. That.
Holy moly.
Yeah,
He's
it's-
dead. That's crazy.
Well, his brother's dead. His brother got killed in a missile strike.
Recently?
Yes,
What?
yes. They
What,
they
out of the loop?
struck his house. Are you just not online? What's going on?
I just watch funny shit and goof around.
Pour some of that.
That's why I'm on.
Let's.
I
let's
got you,
fucking
baby.
Go. Come on, give me some.
Oh, hey, I thought you quit the sauce.
Oh no, I got back on.
Hey! I
I'm
think
back.
you turned Muslim or something. I didn't know what happened.
Jihad. I'm back.
Hell yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Good Lord.
Pour me one.
Hey, easy, Zoran. Bodega Cat.
Cheers, sir.
Cheers. Hey, good to be back. Winalvari's dead weight holding us down.
I don't get drunk. Oof, I might off this stuff though. But I have started drinking again. I took like 8 months off. It was a good reset.
I mean, you're so sharp. I'll take a week off, and I'm like limitless.
Yeah. Well, I realized that
Yeah, totally. Both of you are. You just the day you put it down, your brain comes back full force, sharp as a tack,
because of
mind of a steel trap.
the club, I was just drinking too much.
Right.
And I was just tired all the time. Like, and I'd go to work out the next day. I was like, God, I feel like shit. Why am I doing this to myself? And then I took 8 months off. Then I had a glass of wine with dinner. I was like, ooh, I like it. And then I
Right.
had a margarita, and I was like, ooh, I'm back.
It's a great time.
This one. So look at this. This is AI.
That's fake.
Well, people have zoomed in on the signs and stuff, and it's not even real writing. And he's saying, look, I have 5 fingers.
Weird.
He's joking around, because there was an AI video before that people were criticizing because it looked like one of his fingers had grown an extra appendage.
Right.
I think that just looked like the crease of his hand, honestly, to me.
Yeah. And
but
he
this-
didn't-
So the AI video they're talking about from before that caused all the trouble that made him do another one was not that unconvincing.
looks fake as fuck. First of all, it's weird because he sips out of the cup, and yet the cup stays exactly the same level, and no matter where
Coffee foam.
he moves the cup around, it doesn't spill.
Right.
Like there's a moment where he turns the cup like almost sideways,
Yeah.
It moves way too much for it to not spill at all.
And why would he just be doing it? It looks like an ad for this coffee shop. He's just
Yeah.
hanging out at a coffee shop during a war.
And also, like, how's everybody so casual?
Yeah. He didn't tip, though, so that's the Judaism is coming through.
Oh God! All right. Anyways, so the feeling in this is that the world leaders are doing AI everywhere, and so maybe this is a tee up to protect Trump, or Trump got jealous. Like, why does he have to? Why can't I fake going to coffee shops and shit like that? I don't want to go to these people. I don't want to go hang out with these assholes. Now, big piece of breaking news. Oh, there's a couple. Jesus Christ, there's so much stuff. According to Bendover Johnson.
But yeah, no.
Well, sorry. J.D. Vance is not running next time. Which J.D. Vance announces he's not running. Everybody's been. This is me clicking through a bunch of fucking X tabs, like a total dweeb. And then
Trump would name his heir apparent in J.D. Vance. In fact, J.D. Vance on multiple podcasts.
Oh, that's what's her name? The one who wrote the Hunter Biden book, who was interviewing Nutlick when he said he'd never been, he wouldn't spend more than, that was the last 5 minutes he'd ever spend with him, that disgusting man, Jeffrey Epstein, and then we found out later he'd lied. So basically, she's the lie conduit for the right?
Have straight up said that Donald Trump is
and have you
bringing
talked to the Secretary Rubio
Who's playing the videos for him? Do you not have your own buttons, young man?
about it?
I've joked with the secretary about it. So the president first raised this with me probably 6 months or so ago.
Right.
During just, one of our private lunches that we try to get lunch every couple of weeks just to catch up on what's going on and
Yeah, but not a lot happens in 2-week increments.
and talk about things. He mentioned it probably 6 months or so ago.
He said, JP, Mandel, JD Bowman, JD Vancy Pants.
And I mentioned to the secretary and
you just had a little dance party.
Couch humping, jumping, feel the beat, take it higher, can't retreat, feel the rhythm, can't deny, couch humping, reach the sky.
jest, but it feels so premature.
So this is J.D. Vance saying, Donald Trump's already talking to me about running on a joint ticket with Marco Rubio.
You could clear the entire
Donald Trump
Republican field right now.
has straight up
Do you
said, this is the
agree
ticket I want.
that the heir apparent to MAGA is J.D. Vance?
Well, I think most likely, in all fairness, he's the vice president. I think Marco is also somebody that maybe would get together with JD in some form.
Which really makes maggots happy. Oh, God. Can you imagine, them just bursting in the front door of their house going, "It's happening, honey! The two biggest closet cases in the administration are going to finally run for it. One of them's got, from Cuba or something, and the other one's got a not white wife. It's exactly what we've been hoping for this whole time." Also, JD, obviously would be in the front, and he's big friends with Peter Thiel, who can't decide if humans should live. Where are you going? Why are you packing? It's not prepper time. I'm not done digging the
We
cellar.
have incredible people, some of the people on the stage right here. So it's too early, obviously, to talk about it, but certainly he's doing a great job, and he would be probably favored at this point.
Trump saying that a Marco Rubio J.D. Vance ticket would be a favored ticket, and that's where the energy of the MAGA movement is going to be placed. Donald Trump, of course, has still incredibly strong backing by the MAGA movement. And
oh, yeah. You look like you've slept well, and it's really going... This is exactly what you were hoping for.
Has a base that is undeterred.
Mostly turd.
See, they've been through...
It's partially turd. I would say it's 50... Yeah, I would say there's a statistically significant amount who are turd. Some are undeterred, but most are just turd.
A lot, right? And so much for the MAGA movement is obviously weathered the worst of all political storms.
Have they? Because I feel like you're still in it.
And has come back roaring. And so I think that it is going to be strong into 2028 and is going to be unbothered by even some of the biggest ops that I've ever seen in order to break up a political movement in my life. It makes
Yeah, do you mean the internal ones?
me very, very angry. Anyway.
Oh, yes. And you don't want to see Benny angry. It looks marginally more turd than his normal attitude.
The point is that perhaps
there's a point.
JD Vance himself has decided that 2028 is not going to be his year. It's very interesting.
If it ain't, it's never going to happen.
JD Vance rocked by bombshell admission as Iran war threatens 2028 run. Very interesting here. JD Vance may not run for president in 2028 elections. Trump war with Iran spirals out of control in the Middle East. Sources close to the vice president told the Washington Post that if the war drags on for months, it could significantly damage the GOP's next nominee. Vance has told his closest advisors that he has not yet decided whether to run in 2028 because of his upcoming child. His wife and him are pregnant.
She more than he, but
she's due, I think, in the fall, right?
Yeah, he's not due till September of next year.
A source said Vance's fourth child, due this summer, made him rethink his presidential ambitions. He and
yeah, that and shit constantly hitting every fan around him.
Want to see how the other baby affects their lives before committing to jumping in on the campaign trail. Vance, who has started his political career as a vocal advocate against prolonged military conflict in the Middle East, is now noticeably quiet as Trump pushes forward with war against Iran.
Yeah, basically he's full of shit.
Pressure is mounted on the vice president in recent days following a dramatic resignation of Joe Kent, who was an ally of Vance. Same with Tulsi Gabbard, allies of Vance.
Yeah, God, you know what? What do I know? You guys have weathered the storm. This is asked and answered. Weather and weathered.
And you're starting to see sort of like the fracturing and the breaking off of the anti-war contingency from President Trump.
Because they are unwelcomed and shunned.
You're starting to just see the frictions. That's all.
Yeah, it's just frictions.
J.D. Vance, somebody who served in war himself, obviously a combat veteran, Marine. Same with Joe.
He was a PR agent for the war. He didn't see action.
Kent, same with Tulsi Gabbard. They seemingly have different takes on this, and you can sort of see like the bits of friction.
Bits of friction. That's how I would. World War III, World War IV. Bits of friction
with President Trump and with JD Vance at the White House.
Instead of what's really happening is that they're some frictions
this week. Before the Kent announcement, which was publicly criticized by Trump, Vance tried to persuade him not to turn his departure into a public feud. The effort failed.
Yeah, but that's because Trump's brain is cottage cheese. So.
Here's
Trump Mr. Vice President, Democrats are already calling you the fraud czar. What's your reaction to that title? And then second,
good title.
Second, given
I like
your
it.
past skepticism of foreign adventurism, are you completely on board with the current war in Iran?
So I like fraud czar. It's certainly what we're going to do. And look, we have to do it. As the president said, this is a problem that
so you're going to do fraud. Okay.
has festered in this country for far too long. And
wouldn't you want to be the anti-fraud czar? I mean, just saying, if you're against fraud, right? I mean,
far too few people have actually wanted to do anything about it. That's what makes this administration different, is that we actually tackle the problems the American people have been confronting. So I'm very happy about it. And look, I think that I know what you're trying to do, Phil. You're trying to drive a wedge between members of the administration, between me and the president. What the president said.
Is he really? Does Trump not know what this? Are you trying to sick Trump on him? That's what it sounds like.
Consistently.
Look at Trump like he is. I thought that was a good question. I like the fraud czar thing, and then he roundhoused me.
Back to 2015, and I agreed with him, is that Iran should not have a nuclear weapon. We have taken this military action under the president's leadership. I think all of us, whether you're
I did it.
Democrat or Republican,
do it again.
Should pray for success and pray for the safety of our troops. That's the approach that I've taken. Make it as successful as possible.
So there's no hesitation, given your past statements, with the current operation?
What do you mean there's no hesitation with my past statements?
Given your skepticism of foreign adventurism, you were a critic of the global war on terror previously.
Well, I think one big difference,
You know, the things you said before, do you remember any of those things?
Phil, is that we have a smart president, whereas in the past we've had dumb presidents. And I trust President Trump to get the job done, to do a good job for the American people, and to make sure that the mistakes of the past aren't repeated. Absolutely.
Really? You trust him? Why are the phones facing out? Who places the phones on their desks in like their picture frames? Has he been dicking around sitting there waiting for these folks to come in, rearranging shit?
So you can obviously see there's
obviously
a bit of, you can tell there's a little tinge of frustration there. And then JD Vance went on the road this week. He went to Michigan and he did a roundtable in Michigan where he took some questions and he...
You mean a mini rally? Yeah. Sorry, so it was so poorly attended, you're calling the rally a round table?
Got visibly concerned about the answers here, or the questions here about gas prices, obviously critical in the state of Michigan, of all places.
Don't worry, he was able to blame Joe Biden.
And you can see J.D. Vance kind of frustrated at the derailment of the domestic policies, making lives better for Americans.
Yeah, but not frustrated enough to do anything about it. So there's that.
Gas prices, food prices, inflation prices, home prices. These are the kind of things that win elections.
And hey, there's a lot more to deal with than just, I mean, we've got
potatoes and chicken
because of
tariffs.
Right. So there's a lot more to this.
And J.D. Vance
keep gas prices down.
A little frustrated here at this question.
Here in the near future. Well, the President of the United States is
frustrated at the issue.
Clear about this.
Tough shit. It's his job.
Look, gas prices are up. And
What? When? I feel like Joe Rogan's guest right now. Huh? Where have I been?
We know they're up, and we know that people are hurting because of it.
Do you, though?
And we're doing everything that we can to ensure that they stay lower. I will say...
not everything.
The president said this, and I certainly agree with it. This is...
Like, you didn't forcibly control the Strait of Hormuz. Like, move into a war posture with ships and just take the incoming fire. I think that would be everything. It'd be a little stupid, but it would certainly qualify as everything you can do.
A temporary blip. Okay, what happened under the Biden administration is the gas prices were high for 4 years.
No, they went high because the world got back to work and we were able to get out of COVID, and so everybody rushed to the front of the line and wanted to get the gasoline, and so the price went up. The supply, the demand outweighed supply, and it was this sort of shock reversal. Thank you so much. And then the price started to go down. Now it's going back up again.
Gas prices
quickly
are higher right now, and frankly, they're not even as high as they were during certain parts of the Biden administration because of what's going on in the Middle East. It's not going to last forever.
Well, that gives you a lot of fungible time to work with, wouldn't you say? Somewhere between now, 2 weeks, and forever, and in an inconceivably long period of time, so much so that one hesitates to even refer to it as time because it forever and ever seem very extratemporal in their terminology, beyond even the concept of time. You can't clock forever any more than you can measure infinity. So it's hard to, oh God.
We're going to take care of business. We're going to come back home. And when that happens, you're going to see energy prices come back down to reality. But in the meantime,
sorry, this isn't reality?
We got...
Is this the real life?
So, I mean, again, you can see J.D. Vance there.
Oh, you're not paying for your stuff there, Benny. You got to pay for the Washington Post. You can't just take that, you cheap son of a bitch.
In a frustrating way. I mean, listen,
yeah, sure.
We've had private conversations with J.D. Vance and his team.
Oh, we have? Sorry, who hasn't?
We've traveled with them.
Yeah, independent media.
Just asking like where's your strategy going? Like what is your team doing? We're close with them. We communicate with them pretty regularly, right?
No, I don't know that that's right. Also, and fuck you, you state media dickhead. Why don't you have to list the fact that you're effectively a PR arm of the White House?
This is what we do. They push for domestic policies. Like that was what 2026 was going to be. It was the year of like really solving and cracking down on inflation.
Was it though?
And gas prices.
I don't know.
And everything. And so it's got to be frustrating that this is.
Yeah, that didn't happen. Something else extraordinary happened to make it even worse. Not only did the tariff shit not work at all, on top of the fact that the tariffs didn't work, we also
potatoes and chicken
ended up in a situation where one of the few things you could do to make prices go up even further, faster, was Trump's war of choice in Iran.
It's like undoing that, right? I think that's what they thought.
Yeah, it's almost like they don't give a shit.
This was going to go. And so I think it kind of makes like a lot of sense that JD Vance would be frustrated here.
Yeah, but that's just what his face looks like.
Because obviously if you are wanting to continue the MAGA movement and you're wanting to say you're America first, then you've got to fix these problems.
Do you really? I mean, maybe it's like the kiss on Moonlighting, like or on X-Files. Once it happens, the show's over. So maybe it's just about leading them along and almost doing it forever.
For America.
And I do mean doing it.
And if you want to have a political future, they have to be fixed.
Yeah, I don't think MAGA cares.
JD Vance, described as frontrunner in 2028, is reportedly reconsidering a presidential run entirely. Republicans point to less personal factors, including uneven early polling, growing donor interest in alternatives such as Marco Rubio. Strategists warn that entering a competitive primary, especially following a general election loss, could damage Vance's standing with the party and weaken his claim for any future leadership.
Yeah, but they might be looking to broom his ass and replace him with somebody that they actually want. And where in the world, who anywhere looks at JD Vance and goes, finally?
So now this is all over that.
Yeah, I think that's a good description.
Vance's fourth child due to the summer might make his family a priority.
For once.
And that he's, not sure. The polling markets say Marco is actually the one on the rise.
Well, that's going to work for most of MAGA, a Cuban American. Yeah, that's what they've always wanted to vote for.
See, a pretty exponential jump here for Marco Rubio, who's performed, I think, like admirably, frankly. Will Trump endorse JD Vance for president before 2027? Now there's a collapse.
Okay, whatever. He's reading the poly market shit. What a waste of time. You hate to see it, don't you? You hate to see him backbiting and not knowing which way is up. It's just sad. Oh, you wish somebody would just get to it right away and just say what's on their mind. Oh, shit. Traitor! Nick Fuentes blasts Trump for betraying America again. It's like a new episode in this year's alt season.
Trump got elected on no new wars.
Well, also mass deportations, and that's not going to happen either.
He would end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours.
Yeah, but that was just stupid.
War in Ukraine is still going on.
What?
Now they want $200 billion for Americans to die in Iran and to spend all our money so that Israel can become a superpower.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they want, I guess. And I guess the message from the White House is suck it, MAGA.
They want a moratorium on AI. Data centers are the only thing driving any economic growth. Getting harder for everybody else. Elon Musk is going to become a trillionaire. Meanwhile,
not really. I mean, the three companies coming together, they're looking for $1 trillion evaluation, which is, again, a bullshit thing. He doesn't get to cash out the whole thing, but sure. Certainly doubles his net worth, maybe.
Defaults on car loans and mortgages are through the roof. People have no savings.
Gee. Kind of makes you wish Joe Biden was still president, doesn't it?
You're telling me there's something to salvage here?
And you mean as far as Trump and MAGA? No, I would never. No. There are obviously, yeah, it is just that's a flaming bag of shit on your front porch right there. I wouldn't stomp it out in my good shoes.
What's the alternative?
Oh, you don't think JD Vance has the Riz?
People are telling us, well, you see, it's a team game. We got to be a team player. I don't feel like I'm on the team.
Yeah, you're not.
When Trump is motherfucking us every day on True Social because we're not kissing Mark Levin's ass and cheerleading a war in Iran, and because we still want the Epstein files, I don't feel like I'm on the team.
Yeah, that's a common feeling. Yeah, I can. That must be rough. That's a fucking shame. Yeah. So, does anybody feel like making popcorn?
Donald Trump called Laura Loomer to celebrate the war in Iran.
Well, yeah. Who else is he going to call?
He had lunch with Mark Levin before bombing Iran. Lindsey Graham's on Air Force One selling him the war on behalf of Netanyahu.
And you do realize this has nothing to do with him, right? That this is how it was always going to be? That he was just as full of shit in his first term as he is now? And you just started fucking noticing? Look at the popcorn in the chat. That's the funny part about this to me, is that they think that
looks like a...
Shut up. They think this is the criticism of Trump. It's not. None of this is a criticism of Trump. It's a criticism of themselves. Or I guess their inability to even register criticism. Now, hold on. I want to open a couple of things and show you these, which are fairly hilarious. There was a piece of... All right. This is just dumb. And... Yeah. Yeah, this might be it, too. Nope. Okay, hold on. Grabbing something that I want to show you. And I saw the thing with the football players this morning, and there was this point where he said, we'll stay in as long as it takes or whatever, and that's been read as a big thing. But I think Trump just speaks in those sort of absolutes, and I think he was always planning on staying in forever or whatever. Yeah, so I want to know where things stand right now. We need a baseline. We don't know. You don't know. You don't fucking know. What's the baseline in this situation? How in the world do we know which way is up? We gotta level it out so we know we can get a good lay of the land. And who better to give us that than Laura Ingraham, who will tell us where things stand. And I'm sure that this video is going to be pro-Trump all the way, rah-rah, not a problem. Laura Ingraham, patience is running short. Oops, maybe not.
All right, it's a good time to ask where things stand. And
I don't know, maybe do it before you invade.
That's the focus of tonight's angle.
Angle.
All right, as Mike said, the damage inflicted on Iran by both U.S. and Israeli strikes, it's massive.
Yeah, it was never in doubt, of course. Our military is ridiculously huge, and Israel has a lot of arms that they bought from us as well. So, of course, it would be. Again, not about could, it's about should.
The U.S. Central Command on Wednesday said it struck more than 7...
Yeah, don't pay attention to blonde lady. Watch this truck blow up for the 11th time today.
7,800 targets in
how many times have we seen that fucking truck blow up? Seriously.
Total inside Iran, including more than 120 naval vessels. We've wiped out their air defenses, neutralizing or destroying...
Sorry, are you counting... Is this viewer counts on the videos of that truck blowing up? Or actual sites? Like, this target struck... Do you just count every time we see it as a new... That's a different truck every time you see it blow up. It's mind-bending.
Anywhere between 260 and 300 ballistic missile launchers. It's about 60 to 70% of the total that they have.
Wow, so they still have 30 to 40% of their ballistic missile launchers left. That's not good.
And bad news for Iranian radar, that's likewise been neutralized. We dropped multiple 5,000-pound bunker busters to penetrate deep into missile sites. And all
Sorry, what does that have to do with radar?
of this made it easier to wipe out much of the Ayatollah's top command structure.
Yes, there we are using a $2 million bomb to blow up a $20,000 drone.
Now, check this out, this list.
Check this out.
And no, I'm not going to try to pronounce all the names.
I don't suspect you could really get through any of them.
But one note as you see this scrolling. Ismail Khatib. He's the
Why could you not pronounce this Laura Ingraham?
The intel minister who was killed last night.
Who, honest to God, looks like he's from Nashville. If he was in a different hat, he'd be like, hey, what's up, Stan?
He was a central player in plots targeting American officials.
They all were.
And he's got blood on his hands.
And you do know we blew up a school, right?
So you have to ask yourself at this point, with so many of these people wiped out, who's even left to make decisions?
Maybe they're not making decisions. Maybe there was an autopilot kind of plan. Maybe they had a contingency like we do, that if somebody decapitates the leadership, they go into plan A and then plan B and then plan C, and they don't have to make decisions. They just pick the targets ahead of time, and it looks a little bit flailing to us because they've been on, written down or in an order for a long time, but they've just decided to just, if something happens to me, plan A. If something happens to him, plan B. If something happens to him, plan C. After that, it's just everybody get your gun and start killing.
Well, we have a list. And the director of national intel, Tulsi Gabbard, was on the Hill today with her own assessment.
Oh, yeah, this is, I don't know what clip she's going to play, but this is not going to be good for your argument that things are going well.
The IC assesses that if a hostile regime survives, it will likely seek to begin a years-long effort to rebuild its military, missiles, and UAV forces.
Yeah, so we have to change the regime. Regime change must be done. If a hostile regime survives, not like remnants of it, they come back, they got to be gone. They all have to die. The entire functioning upper structure of this country has to go.
And as for the...
Nothing, no, not and. Moron, what did she fucking say? Good Lord.
Notion that it didn't occur to the administration that Iran would try to block the Strait of Hormuz?
This has
Oh, yeah. I don't know that this defense is going to sound the way you think it should.
long been an assessment of the IC that Iran would likely hold the Strait of Hormuz as leverage.
And my question is,
we know.
Was that communicated to the president in the lead up to this action?
And it's because of that long-standing assessment that the IC has continued to report that the Department of War took the preemptive planning measures that it did.
What? Sorry. The question was, did you tell the president before this happened that this could happen? And she got asked this by several people.
In the lead up to this.
I want to see how Laura comes out of this.
Because of that long-standing assessment that the IC has continued to report that the Department of War took the preemptive planning measures that it did.
I didn't make this decision. We've been saying shit for a long time. I never even saw these assholes before. That's what we're dealing with.
That's a point that's made.
It's not. That's a point that's made. Jesus Christ. What?
But the immediate problem is also real.
Sorry. They weren't before? These weren't.
Every day this.
The problem. There weren't. It's always been the assessment this would happen. So, and now we're confronted with the reality that it is happening, and they didn't prepare for it because they told Pete Hegseth and he fucked up.
This goes on will mean a longer period for prices in the energy sector to stay up. And
yeah, that's not only has the intelligence community ascertained that, but the vast majority of people on Earth with access to a television set know this.
And we want them to settle down. Obviously.
Yeah, settle down, guys. Simmer.
Iran knows that causing prolonged economic damage at this point is its most lethal weapon.
Yeah, so they have no reason to stop, and we have no way of stopping them without boots on the ground.
Americans love our military.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously.
So, and some of us so much that we don't want them sent on bullshit runs, to get coffee for the president.
We do. But the longer this goes on, the less they're going to support this mission. That's how this stuff always goes.
Yeah. The more it fails and sucks, the more we recognize it fails and sucks.
So the questions that linger are key to what happens next.
Okay, these are the questions, and we all need to get together on. Okay, so this we went from we need a baseline. We got to figure out where we are. To I have some questions, if you may, if we may.
Annual military budget is over $1 trillion, 1.1, 1.2 trillion dollars.
Mm-hmm.
But we still haven't been able to open the strait. Why?
Yeah, why don't we have mechs like Pacific Rim with that kind of money?
Why is that?
Because it's complicated, and you can solve it quickly on the cheap, but it entails killing tens of thousands of civilians in the process.
Did military planners underestimate the Iranian regime's military capabilities?
Yes.
As far as that goes.
Yes. As far as that goes, yes. It goes as far as yes.
And when will we know we've truly eliminated the nuclear threat?
Excuse me. We obliterated it last year. We're just re-obliterating. We're just crossing our I's and dotting our T's.
Can declare victory. Will we put boots on the ground to find the enriched uranium that we know Iran possessed?
No. Why? Just leave it there, It's dirty and dangerous. It's under the ground's where it came from. So, it's like putting uranium back in the earth. It's like returning it, to its original resting place. Something like that. Whatever. Does anybody even know that it's there? I don't think so.
How long would it take for Iran to rebuild its nuclear program?
2 weeks. I mean, we're going to have to basically bomb them every 2 weeks. That's what I think. I suppose, but...
And its missile stockpiles. And with Israel's continued strikes on Hezbollah targets, do we risk a refugee crisis that further destabilizes the Middle East? We remember what happened with Iraq and Syria.
Do we, though? I mean, we do, but do you think Trump does? Do you think Hegseth does? Yeah. And again, I think the idea of refugees scares you because you're afraid brown people will stampede towards white countries.
And what happens when and if our...
All right, look, this is a lot of questions, lady, okay? This is a lot, okay? And also, we don't have these answers. Your viewers don't. You have Pete Hegseth's phone. He used to work there. You have his extension. How about call him and report back with what he says?
Objectives and Israel's objectives diverge.
Uh-oh.
And with the economic drag this war is having on our economy, at least in the short term, will midterm political realities override military priorities?
That is a tough one. What were the military priorities again?
Ever. Now, there are a lot more questions of regime change and all of that.
Yeah. Who needs that, though? Regime change. I mean, I hear that. You hear regime change, and people say no, and then you're like, maybe we should, we could. We could do anything. Look at Venezuela.
But those few questions really do matter. Our men and our women in uniform and the taxpayers who pay for these wars always need clarity and reassurance.
Nah, not at all. And most maggots don't. I mean, the last thing they want is reassurance, because if you reassure them with reality, they won't like it.
But look, it's not even been 20 days. Look at the damage we've inflicted.
Yeah, our ability to inflict damage was never in question.
But because of our experience in Iraq and Afghanistan,
we're a bunch of wusses.
Always, patience right now is running short. And that's the angle.
The angle is we've got a 6-day window to get the fuck out of there, or this is going to cost us the midterms. And then we're going to have to blame the stupid American people who got us into this war in the first place. Thank you, Laura. That dragged us in. Trump didn't want to do this. He ran on not doing this. But the American people insist on, doing this somehow. And, so there. We'll plan it. Well, how about... how Trump had his idea of take the guns, then do due process. Maybe it's like we attack and then we have a war plan. I mean, this could be the Trump doctrine. Maybe it is the Don Roe doctrine. So, needless to say, the Lauras of the world are not too excited about this. Hold on. So today we have found a newly drunk Joe Rogan. We mourned the loss of Chuck Norris. We watched a clearly AI Donald Trump. And the reason we knew it was an AI Donald Trump is because it completed a sentence. We have I suppose, hold on one second. I suppose there are ways, that Trump could make this worse, and I'm sure he's trying his damnedest over the next little bit. But I got to tell you, we're not getting out of here anytime soon. Nobody asked for $200 billion as a supplemental when you already have $1 trillion budget if you're leaving. Because this is to build munitions. This is to print bombs, which means you are planning on dropping these things after they're made, and it takes a little while. Just see, and it's not like these companies have another customer. We're priority, if not the only ones. So let's end on this. I want to know how to save the United States. I think you're all worried about it, and here we go. We will find out how to save the United. It's time to tell the truth about everything.
How did Donald Trump, after 10 years of saying one thing, do in the pivotal act of his presidency exactly the opposite?
Oh, I know, because he's a sexist, egotistical, lying, hypocritical bigot.
That's not just an academic question. It's not the beginning of a conspiracy theory about some shadowy lobby. It's the most important question we face because...
Well, only if you bought into his bullshit. Those of us that didn't and knew he was a liar the whole time are more stunned that you didn't get it earlier and you consider yourself a public intellectual, which is, I gotta admit, fucking hilarious.
This is not the first time the United States has entered into this kind of war against the wishes of its own population and in clear contravention of its own interests. Again,
right, but again, this is a Republican thing. This is the plan. This is PNAC. This has been, implemented since the middle of Bill Clinton's presidency, when Republicans said, if we take things back, we're doing all of this. And as soon as they got in, they started in on it immediately.
It's its interests. This isn't good for us. No one has made the case that it's good for us.
Trump has made the case that it's good for him, I guess, and therefore good for us because the land and the king are one.
And increasingly, as the days pass, it becomes obvious to everyone why it's not good for us.
Which specifically? The dead Americans, or that you were getting funding from Russia and they don't think you have enough influence to keep paying you?
And if you don't believe that, then check the prices of food and fuel.
Yeah, we don't have to check them. We actually do our own shopping, you silver spoon asshole.
And everything you buy, because everything you buy is dependent on the price of energy and the production of fertilizer.
Well, certainly this show is.
Both of which are affected almost immediately by the closure of the Straits of Hormuz. So we did this again. It's not exactly clear how or why we did this.
Well, how we did it is fairly clear. I mean, Trump sent a bunch of boats, bullshitted the Iranians into thinking he was there to make a real deal, had Witkoff and Jared Kushner basically drag them along so that until he could get assets down there, and then he attacked them. He did the same thing Putin did. Roll right up to the border a couple of times, act like you're not going to go through, and then when they think you're willing to talk, then attack.
But we need to find out, and there is great resistance to finding out. And you've noticed that in the last 36 hours since Joe Kent resigned as director of the National Counterterrorism Center, one of our top...
Sorry, the National Counterterrorism Center?
Intel officials.
Freudian slip, I guess.
because the attacks on him have prevented an honest conversation about what he's actually saying and what he.
Why? You had him on your show. He was being attacked, I guess, but you haven't had a conversation? You had your conversation. It's on the internet.
He's saying is,
what the fuck? This is this bullshit about we're being censored. You can watch my video about it.
And he says it clearly, and we're going to ask him about it directly in just a moment. Israel got us into this war.
No, Trump got us into this war. Trump did. Trump gave the order. Israel did not get us into this war. Israel cannot call the Joint Chiefs or Pete Hegseth and say attack. Donald Trump did. Fuck you, knock it off. I'm not buying it. Nobody else is either.
It's lobby in the United States.
Who cares? You can be lobbied by somebody and tell him to go pound sand.
Pressure the president.
I'm sorry. So what, he's that weak? He can't withstand pressure?
And its prime minister in Israel told the president, we're going without you.
Okay. And he could have said, good luck and Godspeed.
Join us, because if you don't, your troops in the region, your interests in the region, your citizens in the region will all be at risk. You have no choice.
Yeah, but that would be true. That's true when we went as well. We lost troops in this.
They led the way.
No, they didn't. We did. We struck and they followed. It was a preemptive defensive strike, remember?
That's Joe Kent's position.
Jesus Christ.
And rather than push back against that,
rather,
and say, no, actually, he's wrong, they're telling you to shut up.
Well, I don't know what Loomer's saying or whatever. I'm sure people in the maggot world are saying, but they're, I think everybody on my side of the aisle is going, yeah, he's right about why we shouldn't go. And of course, there was no threat. It was clear in the available intel, and there wasn't anything coming out of the White House or Tulsi Gabbard or any of the CIA director that was saying, no, we really do have some information that they're 2 weeks away. Never was even presented that way. So you can side with their assessment of reality, but not their answer to the circumstance.
And why are they doing that? Well, there's only one reason people ever become hysterical and slanderous.
Because Trump tells them to, and they're afraid of him.
Screaming at you rather than answering you. It's because they're lying.
No, because Trump is lying, and he's put the fear of MAGA in them.
And the truth is, this is not the first time you've watched people in charge lie. This has been going on a long time, and lies give way.
Yeah, it's the government that's lying. It's not Trump that's lying. Basically, Biden got us into this war.
To a whole bunch.
This is probably Clinton's fault now that I think about it.
It's a bad thing.
Probably Obama, actually. He wanted to go just so he could visit.
More lies. Once you tell a lie, you bolster it with further lying.
Well, I mean, that might be your methodology.
Hysteria, the fear of being caught lying, the rage and slander. If the person catches me lying, he wins. And in the zero-sum game of lying, I die.
Well, at least he's not dramatic.
You go on the attack to cover your lies.
Yeah, we've seen you do that, especially around your trips to Russia.
And bad judgment. You can't make wise decisions on the basis of lies because they're not true. They're not.
It's a great philosophical question or whatever. Can you follow a lie to the truth? I guess we're going to find out.
Not based in reality. That didn't actually happen. Or in this case, it did happen, but you're pretending it didn't.
Which, by the way, now do why it's important for everybody to be religious.
So a country based on lies, like a family based on lies, like an individual life based on lies.
Explain a family based on lies.
Cannot succeed. In fact, it's hellish.
Are you kidding me? The Trump family is entirely based on lies. They're like, they don't function like a family at all, and they pretend to be close when you know they're not. It's a total lie, and yet financially they've done quite well.
As all of us have experienced in our lying.
Well, some more than others.
And so the only way out of this is to stop lying, is to tell the truth now, probably 63 years after we should have started telling the truth.
Oh, this is about, we should have supported the creation of Israel. That's where this will go.
But it's never too late to tell the truth now about everything.
Well, get at it, son of a...
Because it's never as
Yeah, just start telling the truth.
painful as you think it will be.
Is this like an Evite video he's sending to Trump?
It's actually an act of...
Again, how the fuck is this your audience's or even my audience's fault? Or why would anyone be interested in your take on this horseshit? This has got to be a Civil War video, right? This has got to be aimed at maggots by and large, the ones that are for this.
Liberation.
This is a cat turd video.
In fact, it's the only real act of liberation. Telling the truth sets you free.
I've heard that somewhere. More or less the same.
Because the truth itself sets you free.
Oh, okay. I always wondered how that worked, So poetic. It's amazing. You're so amazing. You should write that down. That should be I would put that in a line of cards.
That is always and everywhere a fact.
Well, no, it isn't,
And the longer you delay doing that...
I'll give you an example. In the case of when someone is, say, and I'm just spitballing here, was like friends with a pedophile for 30 years and engaged in that kind of activity with him and was, involved in criminal money laundering that guy was aware of, and they kind of participated in both of those. The truth would actually do the opposite of set you free. It would put you in fucking jail. So, tell somebody who's confessed to a murder that the truth will set them free.
The more horrible the consequences of your lies. So let's hope that tonight, with this conversation with Joe Ken, is the beginning of the long overdue truth-telling.
Yeah, no, it's not. That's not going to happen.
Which is the only thing that will save this country. And one final note about Joe Ken.
Okay, tell us about your inside track to the White House again.
Who I spent the last 24 hours with.
Wow, he slept over. That's interesting. Do you have any new scratches? Sorry, the last 24 hours. He spent the night. That's not... Okay. Hey, I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. I mean, we have a soundtrack. Again, you do you, boo. Let's party like we're moving. 24 hours.
Whoa, I love that feeling. Zipper hoods have got the goods. Owie, owie, oh. Boys and thongs and vests and thongs. Whoa, I love that feeling. Zipper hoods have got the goods. Owie, owie, oh. Boink, boink, dooby-doo. You know what I wanna do. Yay. Boink, boink, dooby-doo. You know what I wanna do.
Joe Ken's resume hardly needs explanation because...
No, yeah, I read it as a bedtime story last night.
Everyone is aware this is a man who deployed on 11 combat missions to the global war on terror. This is sort of the perfect representation of the GWAT generation. This is one of those guys we often celebrate but too rarely hear from, who we sent out to fight the so-called war on terror that began on 9/11. And it's
right, and his betrayal by Donald Trump, you could see coming a fucking mile away.
Entire generation of men
who Trump thinks are suckers and losers. He called POWs, he said POWs aren't heroes. He likes he likes people who aren't captured. Yeah, he threatened to disown his children if they join the military. You didn't see this coming? This is a shock. You're really shocked that Donald Trump, the guy who criticized John McCain's war record, you're shocked that he's lying in veterans' faces. Go take a look at the VA Choice Act of 2014 that Trump says he signed. And then look at the date.
Who look and sound, for the most part, very much like Joe Ken. So the implication, of course, he doesn't care about security or he's soft on Iran. Joe Kent spent, the majority of his 20s and 30s fighting Iranian proxies and watching his friends get killed by them. So this is someone who has actually earned the right to speak about Iran and the war on terror.
Ron, this is that's a little condescending head tilt that he does. Somebody might want to shut up about that, which is the ironic part of it. Just because, he's trying to shut down people who have a criticism of Joe Kent. And again, these people can fucking eat themselves. I don't think they're serious in any way in their discussions of these topics.
And of course, he was the director of the National Counterterrorism Center. So he's thought.
Yes, Trump hired him to do that job.
A lot about terrorism in this country and the blowback from events like this. And we're going to ask him about that as well. But the other thing to notice about Joe Kent, and it may be his defining factor, is that he doesn't slander anyone. His resignation letter was not an attack on Donald Trump.
Right, which is the weird part, because that's who gave the order.
It wasn't a
and he knows he was presenting him with evidence that said the opposite of what Trump is saying in public. If there was, an attack on his integrity that had any weight, it would be the fact that he just lets this shit slide because it's Trump. The government's always doing this. We're always getting into these wars. Well, fucking Obama didn't. Biden didn't. Complain about Clinton and, Kosovo and, but we didn't stay there. But Bush into Trump, and certainly in Trump too, they don't have a problem with digging in and sticking around.
Promised to write a tell-all memoir about what he saw on the inside, or to aggrandize himself, or to get a job on a TV show, or sell something.
Which he will probably do over the next year or so.
I asked him at dinner last night, what are your plans? None.
Yeah, after dinner, you mean? Like, what are you doing after you... What are your plans? What do you mean, with my life? No, after dinner. I don't know. I really... You know what? I wasn't that hungry to start with, and I was thinking about just going to bed early, but the music in this club is really loud. What? Oh, yeah, I do think they have great French fries. Yeah, I guess we could hold hands as we leave so that nobody bothers us. Sure. Yeah, let's go out to the parking lot. We could make some plans, I guess. I asked him last night during dinner if he had plans.
He did this purely because he believes, as he'll explain in a second, this is the only way to save the United States from certain disaster. Tell the truth.
Which he didn't do, by the way, in the interview. He just tap danced around it and bullshitted. Didn't give any direct evidence other than the kind of vague horseshit that Tulsi Gabbard says in open session. He didn't drop a bomb like, I was there. He didn't, like Vindman, go, I overheard a conversation. They have this conversation, like risking jail, risking, being fired effectively by Trump. He just quit and ran. And then he went to blather on a fucking podcast.
Air the secrets. Be honest for once in decades about what is actually happening. Things that everybody who lives here suspects are happening. In some cases,
not everybody.
We're probably wrong. We've come to the wrong conclusions.
Who's we?
That's okay.
It is.
Tell us what actually happened. Tell us why you did this. And let's...
Well, what if he doesn't tell you what actually happened? What if he tells you another version of... It's kind of, it's a problem. It's a problem, Some people, I don't know, they lean one thing. And sometimes you're like trying to say something to people. And then, they just don't get it. And I saw what I saw, but I don't know that they saw what I saw and what we saw.
Reorient this country where it should be.
Against the Jews. Sorry.
Which is around its own citizens.
Right. And those people would be...
Make the decisions that you make based on one criterion. Is this good for my people or not? In the way that a father would lead his family.
Yeah, so much like that.
Or an officer.
Mothers don't lead their families like that.
Sure would lead his troops. It's not complicated.
It is kind of complicated, actually. Raising children is complicated. Military campaigns are complicated. And as a matter of fact, you should maybe focus on people that don't think in binaries and are comfortable with complexity in those offices so that they can have the mental capacity to absorb all the necessary pieces of information to make a real judgment.
Everybody.
I'm just fucking with you. Just the guy who's like, no wars, who bombs people. That's perfect.
That's not a partisan question. That's a human question. And that's the question Joe Kent is posing. Why can't we do this? Why can't we say this? It's not an attack on anybody. Joe Kent himself does not attack anybody.
Well, not since he left the military, I guess.
But this is a last-ditch
And also, you kind of should.
attempt, not simply to save the country from disaster in Iran, but to save the country, period.
Yeah, of course. Which you obviously don't know. You know. That fucking head tilt is driving me crazy lately, because along with obviously, these are his two big condescending tells. Obviously, people think this. And he does this every fucking time.
And as you listen to him speak, ask yourself, is this a man who's working for Hezbollah, or is an egomaniac or a leaker? Or is this a man who says very little when he has nothing to say, who speaks straightforwardly and with honesty, self-evident honesty?
And says just as little as he did essentially when he had nothing to say.
Is this a man of dignity and decency?
I don't know. He's on your show, so he's got 2 strikes against him.
Is this a man that America once had a lot of? Is this a man
We had clones?
who was once, in effect, the American archetype, the guy you looked up to, the guy you wanted your son to be?
You mean the guy who was friends with Nick Fuentes?
Whether you agree with him or not.
Why would we want a lot of people I don't agree with?
Maybe you're reaching completely different conclusions.
Mm-hmm.
But as you listen to him speak, ask yourself, is this the kind of person who makes me proud to be a fellow American?
He quit. It doesn't make any difference to me. He is inconsequential. He had a position of power where he could leverage that position for the truth and to institute things, and he quit. So he is, like any of my other fellow citizens, kind of none of my business unless they're my friends or I run into them.
Because it's really a referendum on us. If we can't see that Joe Kent, whatever you think of his opinions, is the kind of man this country should be producing and
Well, if I'm hostile to his opinions about like gay people and trans people and women and minorities in general, and now Israel is a placeholder for the word Jew, then no. You can come to the same conclusion I do for different reasons and still be an ethical mess.
should be elevating and should be proud of. If we can't see that, then we've failed the test. And
I'm sorry. My test is not determined on how much you like Joe Kent at dinner.
We've lost.
And now I owe him the benefit of the doubt after he went to work for Donald Trump gladly and fucked up so much and split.
Everybody knows
Jesus Christ.
somebody who has had an unexpected tragedy lose a
Yes, I had to watch this show. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to let you go. Tomorrow, the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, our dear friend Philip Ittner will be joining us. I didn't get to talk to him on Wednesday, so we have a lot of catching up to do. And then our good friend Johnny Million will be with us in that. That said, I will see you guys tomorrow afternoon. I think, or tomorrow morning. Well, I guess it depends on where you are. But the thing that I would keep an eye out for is this bifurcation of maggots is getting bigger. And a lot of the back and forth we're seeing on these shows is not about them talking at, to, or about us. It's about them attacking their own. And what I wish on the general public, and I hope that we are, the angels of our better nature are triumphant, is that we recognize that there is real consequences to real actions, and people need to vote accordingly. And we have a responsibility, a genuine responsibility, to do the adult thing in every election and vote for the person that, can, after your primary, fall in love and then fall in line makes a lot of sense, because that's how you do it in every aspect of your life. Incremental, important change is too important to give away to the frustration of immediacy or some sort of swipe right mentality or swipe left mentality. It's too important. Also, if somebody was confused by maggots, MAGA, all caps, lowercase ts. That's what we mean when we say maggots. So just say that. All right, and I will check and see if there's a cat. Hold on, I don't think so. Is there a cat down here anywhere? Okay, hold on. All right, I might have to get one for people. They're all upstairs with Summer. Nope. Sorry, everybody. All the cats are upstairs with Summer, keeping her company, which is kind of lovely considering. So I will do my best to have one before the show in the morning. Yeah, that's the tough one. So anyways, much love to you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. And let's see. How about this one?
Goodbye, Portland. You twisted now.
So still miss it. All right, I'll see you tomorrow.
You make no sense. Renaissance mayors on a latte fence. The screen glows bright with a crooked smile. Words spill out. All venom, no style. Promises made, they rot in the air. A handshake, a lie, a blank, cold stare. Puppets dance, the strings are tight. Shadows whisper in the dead of night. This is some bullshit.
Tell everybody I send my love to Tara Devlin when you guys do the raid. I'll see you guys tomorrow.